All right, today we're going to talk about the Sotetseg maze and how to use diagonals and L shapes and why you should do that. So the reason you want to do L shapes and diagonals is because your teammates who you're leading are running away from the tornado. The tornado only starts once you get to the third row, so you can stand here and wait until your teammates are ready. As soon as you leave this third row, the tornado is going to start and it's going to be a race because the tornado is going to follow the path all the way through. And if your team aren't fast enough, they get caught up by the tornado. So you could, in theory, run through every single square of the maze step by step, go to each corner and be 100% safe. The problem with that is it takes longer and that tornado is more likely to catch your team. So using diagonals and L shapes basically means you're taking shortcuts and therefore getting a head start on the tornadoes. It's most important to do diagonals and L shapes, I'll just call them shortcuts, at the start, because the tornadoes here, it's very close to your team. So if you go slowly here, that tornadoes have got a much bigger likelihood of catching your team up at the start. Once you've got a few diagonals out of the way and you've got your team a bit of a gap, there's less pressure on you to do the diagonals towards the end. So let's talk about diagonals. They're the simplest to do. So if we follow where my mouse is, I'm not going to run the maze yet. Actually, I could run the maze. So diagonals is just cutting the corners. So you can see here, if I just trace with my mouse, we could go diagonal here, which means we get a one tile head start. We could go up one and then take this big diagonal all the way across here, which means we skip 1, 2, 3 tiles by just going across this corner. Then we could go across to here, take a diagonal here, take a diagonal here. We've missed 2 on the corner. One step here, diagonal, diagonal, one step, big diagonal, finish. So I'll just show you that here, 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 there, diagonal, diagonal, one step, diagonal, up. Now you can see that our path was run in 16 ticks or steps, where the optimal path would be 12. And because we took those diagonals, our team were totally fine. This red icon under this green dot here is where the tornado would have got to. So that only got about halfway. Let's reset this exact maze and start in the same place. Let's talk about L shapes. So L shapes are a little bit trickier to get the hang of. But once you practice it on this tool, it's not that bad. So if I was to run to this square, my character would run up one and then across. So in effect, kind of like an L shape here, but it skips this white tile. It would go up and then diagonal. That's the way your character will always calculate its path movement. It will always go forward in the direction it needs to go and then finish off by doing a diagonal. So let's say we're here. Here we'd just make use of the diagonal. Here we'd also make use of this diagonal. Then we'd come to this tile and you can see a really nice L shape here. It's really obvious. You could go here. We can use this corner here. This is a nice L. 3 forward and 1 up. We can go from this square. We can click here and our character would run across and then diagonal. So this is an L shape we can use. Once we're here, we do a diagonal. And you can see another L shape where we can skip around this corner. So if we're on this tile, we can click here and our character would go here and then there. Finishing up the maze, we can do diagonal, L shape. So we'd go from here to here. And then we can actually finish with one more diagonal by clicking here because our character will go up and then diagonal. I'll just show you how that looks in practice. It might be a bit quick, but I'll do it at full speed. So starting at here, we will just start with diagonal, 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 across, L shape, diagonal, L shape, diagonal, L shape, L shape. And there we have it. The tornado last time got to about here, and now it's here. It's not much of a difference, but it's pretty good. All right. It's a lot less fiddly. It's less clicks. Last time I can't remember how many we used, but it was more than 12. The optimal path here as shown is 12 clicks, and we use 12 here. Okay, and the good thing about this tool is the numbers in red are the optimal path, and the blue ones are the one you've done. So if all of my numbers are on the same tiles, it means I've done the optimal path. Okay, the stalled ticks is if you stand still anywhere. So obviously, because I was talking here for a while, it counts a lot of stalled ticks. Let's find a new maze. So I'm going to show you another example. We start here. These ones we can go slow as we like. We're just getting our team to that third row. From here, we can do L shape, diagonal, across, L shape, diagonal, L shape, diagonal, L shape. And here you can see optimal path, 13 steps, and we did 13 ourselves. And we stalled 10, we stalled a few at the start here. The yellow tiles indicate where you stalled, which means you stopped, but that's not a problem. And you can see how quick we did that one. The tornado actually only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows in, and we're already at the finish. We'll do another maze. I'm going to do a couple examples. Start off the maze, always stand on the first tile, get your team to the third row. Here we can go L shape, diagonal, along, L shape, up, L shape, diagonal, along, L shape, and up. And there we go. I actually took one extra step so we can have a look at where I could have done better. This was fine, this was fine, and then we could have started here. So that this doesn't really calculate for the fact that you want to get your team to the third tile. But if we weren't doing the pause at third tile, we could have gone from here to here. Could have done that diagonal, but then the rest of it's pretty much the same. And I guess we'll do one more. I hope I'm not going too fast, but I'm hoping if you watch this a couple of times, you might get a good idea. So we're at the third tile, nice and easy. Diagonal, along, L shape, diagonal, L shape, L shape, diagonal, L shape, diagonal, along, L shape, diagonal, L shape. So we've done 15 tiles and the optimal was 15. I hope that makes sense. The diagonals are the easiest to learn straight away. So let's do a maze with just diagonals, no L shapes, depending on whether I can get myself out of the habit. We'll just cut corners on diagonals. This is the simplest way to save time. So here, I would say you'd go 1, 2, big diagonal, along, diagonal, diagonal, along, diagonal, diagonal, along, big diagonal, up, big diagonal. And that's pretty fast. The tornado is here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that was with the simple use of just doing the diagonals as we see them. No L shapes were used there at all. Obviously our path was a little bit longer, 17, but there's still loads of space between us and the tornado. And this is the kind of speed that you want to aim for once your team is good at doing the mazes, in terms of trying not to stop in too many places and just getting through. Now your team does have to be experienced to be able to react to your clicks as quick as you do the maze. So if you don't have an experienced team, you don't want to be doing the maze as fast as humanly possible, because there will be people with reaction times and ping to deal with who are trying to follow you. But this is a good tool to practice getting up to like tick perfect on mazes, and then obviously in the real game you slow it down a bit to be safer, and I really recommend you give it a go.